I finally managed to beat everything in Arkham Knight without taking a single hit. That includes all the DLCs and all the side missions, as well as the main story, but that I covered in my last video, so if you want to see that, check out that video. And of course, the same rules apply, however, there is one more rule I did add. In the Riddler side missions, there are missions where you have to basically race around a track, and there are parts of this mission where you can fall off the side, but when you respawn, you do not take damage. And according to my rules, taking damage is what constitutes as a hit. So when it came to Riddler's race missions, another rule I added was that basically all 3 laps had to be done perfect, back to back. So falling off did count as a hit. And like usual, I kept a tally / log of all the hits I did take, but let's face it, this is actually a little bit hard to read. So I'm going to summarize on the screen so it's a bit easier for you to understand. So as you can see, Azrael, Professor Pig and Firefly were the 2 people I didn't take any hits to, which is actually kind of surprising because I've never done Professor Pig without taking a single hit, so that was a first. Azrael also is a bit ironic. The challenge where I'm doing no hit, I end up doing the side mission that is no hit without taking a single hit, which is kind of funny. Firefly as well is also one that I'm also a little bit like, whoa, that shot me. Normally I always run into the fire at least once, but I was being a bit careful when chasing this time. Deacon Blackfire only took 1 hit too, which is actually kind of surprising because I expected to take way more, but it turns out I managed to do it in 2 tries, which is good. Now the Penguin side mission is one that actually completely surprised me because I was expecting to take so many hits, but they only ended up taking 2 hits, and those 2 hits were in the last fight, which is the hardest fight as well, so that was really good. Then there's Two-Face, which is also a really low number. It's only actually 1 hit, and to be perfectly honest, that 1 hit was at the very first bank robbery, which technically means because I then beat that bank robbery without doing a hit, and then I beat the second bank robbery without taking a hit, then I beat the third bank robbery without taking a hit, which means I beat all 3 bank robberies back to back without taking hits, technically. And then of course the firefighters only took 4 hits, which is again a low number, but let's face it, the firefighter missions aren't exactly too hard. To be honest, I was expecting to take a few hits with firefighters, but 4 is still a bit of a low number for me. I was expecting a lot more, so I'm kind of happy with that. And then of course all the other side missions that aren't DLCs actually have a pretty high number of hits. Now let's start with the checkpoints and watchtowers. Let's be honest, there's quite a decent amount of hits for both of them. And to be frankly honest with you, that's because of, well, for the checkpoints it was 1 checkpoint that I just kept messing up with. And for the watchtowers, it was 2 watchtowers that I just kept messing up with. So in fact, most of these hits are all just because of 1 or 2 towers that were just screwing me over. In the last video when I was talking about the main story, I said that the combat was pretty fair and well balanced. And to be frankly honest with you, my opinion was very influenced by the fact that the main story was actually only 62 hits, so I was expecting a lot more. And I won't lie, the combat is still pretty fair and well balanced. However, there are still a few issues and problems with the combat in this game that I didn't mention in my main video, because when I was doing the main story for that video, I luckily didn't actually come across these problems. You see, there are times in the combat of this game where I just feel like there is no way to avoid certain attacks when they happen, if they happen in certain conditions. You see, what annoys me about this game is the fact that the run, jump and evade button is all the 1 button. And to make matters worse is the evade button, the button that you need to quickly press, is 2 hits. You have to press the button twice. And it's not like you can go into the keybinds and change the button, because no, it's all 1 button in the keybind menu. So in order to press the evade button, you actually have to hit the button twice, which is annoying because it takes longer to hit the button twice than it would if it was to hit it once, which, I mean, that goes without saying. But in certain instances, there are moments where a red flash happens, you press the button twice, you do not evade because by the time you finish pressing that button twice, they've already hit you. Now I perfectly understand that on a controller there is a limited amount of buttons compared to a keyboard, but I feel like the evade button is a button that's so important to have its own button. So yeah, with the checkpoints and towers, there were hits that I ended up taking that I feel like were a little bit out of my control. Now moving on to the APCs, I actually did end up taking quite a few hits to the APCs, but that's because of my own stupidity. You see, when it comes to the APC fights, I like to smash the Batmobile into the cars to take them out. However, when I first did this, doing so took damage, and so I was like, oh, I can't do that then because that's a hit. Turns out there's a skill point you can unlock that actually removes the damage you take when you do this. And I unlocked that skill point pretty early on, but I didn't realise that that actually applied to the APCs as well. But I didn't realise this affected the APCs until like halfway through. But also dodging the rockets is actually kind of really hard, especially on a narrow street and you got 2 rockets flying up you, which takes up the whole street. Anyway, I took a fair few hits to the mines, but to be frankly honest with you, that's to be expected. I mean, you're in a confined space and you can barely move, so obviously I was going to take a few hits, and I was kind of expecting that. But to be fair, I didn't take as many as I expected there to be. Now, the Slade Wilson boss fight pissed me the fuck off because I did that boss fight first try without taking a single hit. But after the cutscene, my health bar had taken damage. But if you look before the cutscene, my health bar hadn't taken damage. I took damage during the cutscene. What the hell? And then I ended up failing 2 more times, so... And then there's the Riddler side missions with a staggering 47 hits, pretty much close to the main story. But the reason why Riddler's so much is because of that stupid rule that I added for the racing. Okay, most of these hits are from those racing missions. In fact, the last boss fight, I only took 2 hits from, and those 2 hits were because Batman punched the wrong guy. You see, when it comes to aiming, on controller, you point the joystick towards the person you want to attack. On computer, you don't have a joystick, so what you have to do is you press the movement key that's pointing in the direction of that person, but obviously the movement keys don't go a full 360 degrees like a controller, so sometimes it will hit the wrong person because you want to go for this guy, but actually the computer misreads you and thinks you want to go for this guy, which isn't a problem normally, but in the Riddler fight, when the wrong person can electrocute you, it definitely is a problem. And lastly, there are the DLCs, and to be frankly honest with you, I didn't take that many hits to the DLCs, and the points that I could say about them are the same points that I've said for other stuff in this video. Though I will say one thing, in the Croc fight, there was one time where I took a hit because the guy didn't flash blue. I think he forgot that I wasn't playing on New Journey Plus and just decided, you know what, I ain't gonna give you an indicator, and just hit me, which was weird. So yeah, that's all I can really say about the side missions. There isn't really much to say. Most of the stuff was just me being an idiot, or just, you know, not pressing the right button in time, or getting the wrong combination, or whatever. But if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, well, there's a button for that. And if you didn't like this video, why are you still here? So thanks for the watch time, I guess. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video.